Hey guys, let's go over D1, solving each system of equations algebraically, then verify each solution graphically. Okay, so how do we solve systems algebraically? The easiest method that you're going to see, and if you look at both of those equations, they both are equal to what? The y variable. So this easiest, just use the substitution. What is substitution in language? I'm going to write the problem below. I have, I'm going to write it in reverse order. Y equals 2x and y equals x squared minus 6x plus 7. Okay, so what I'm going to use, I'm using my highlighter. If you have a highlighter, it's super helpful. Okay. Every time we see y, we're going to write 2x. Every time we see y, we're going to write what? 2x. So let's write 2x. So instead of writing y, we're going to write 2x. And everything else is the same. Okay, so now, so the first thing we did, let's just write that. We did a substitution. We did that in a blue highlight. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to solve. And in order to solve quadratics, we're going to have to set equal to 0. Set equal to 0. Okay, let's do that. If you want, you could just put a nice straight line. That was straight, right? And right down the middle of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 2x and put it with like terms. Alright, so that equals 0 equals x squared minus 8x plus 7. Okay. Now in our last couple lessons we learned what's the easiest way to solve quadratics. Well, I'm always going to shoot for the home run factor. So let's try factor. A times c and the b value, so a times c is 7, my b value is negative 8. I need two numbers that multiply to be positive 7, and I'm thinking of negative 1 and negative 7. Because you multiply those, it equals positive 7, you add them together, equal negative 8. Okay, what does that mean for us? 0 equals x minus 1, x minus 7. Congratulations, you just factored. Okay, now to solve, here I'm just using the zero product rule. And what that means is, remember my little analogy is square times triangle equals 0, which basically implies that the square has to be 0 or the triangle has to be 0. So you set them equal to 0, okay? You see this kind of splitting aspect, so we're going to do the same thing here. Let's set it equal to 0 here. So I have x minus 1 equals 0 and x minus 7 equals 0. Again, you don't need those parentheses because you don't have any math operations on the outside there, so I would just add 1, and we're going to get x equals 1. And over here, we have x equals 7. Okay, what does this mean for us? Let me highlight those. Okay, so I'm kind of doing steps over here on the side, right? So my next step here is to sub x to get y. We want a y value, okay? And let's see if I use my highlighter. This equation I'm just going to use here. Let's go ahead and use that together. So I got y, that's a y, equals 2x. And you're going to do this twice. Y equals 2 times 1. And if you want to repeat it, you could just do it with x equals 7. Y equals 2x. Y equals 2 times 7. And then if you do that, you're going to get y equals 2 here. So when x is 1, y is 2. Okay, that's an ordered pair. Let's write that. Ordered pair. Okay, and we wanted to finish the one over here, so I get y equals 14. So my order pair is when x is 7, y is 14. Okay, what does that mean? That means we have two solutions, so let's go ahead and graph it now because they told us to graph it. It's going to be kind of not fun, but just because I don't have a ruler. And 1, 2, 1, 7. So I'm going to kind of cheat it a bit. All right, let's go ahead and graph. Let's call this one orange, okay? So remember that is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. This is a 0, so my y-intercept is going to be a 0. And it has an m value, which means that this is 2 over 1, a rise of 2 and a run of 1, okay? So that means basically up to right 1. So let's go ahead and graph this. Up to right 1, okay? There's my point. Up to, rise of 2, run of 1. Do it all day long as you feel comfortable, and that's our orange graph. Best. Okay? So that was the one in orange here. Okay, let's graph this one over here. Let's use a different color. Let's use blue. Okay, so how do you graph that one? Well, if you think about it, go back to our quadratic that you already solved. This is going to have, sorry, take that back. If you factor this one, a times c is 7, b value is negative 6. All right, so we go back and now graph y equals x squared minus 6x plus 7. You'll realize that you can't factor that. Two numbers that multiply to be 7, but also add to be negative 6. And there are two numbers, so that means it's prime, which means you can't factor it. But you can find the x-intercepts by using the quadratic formula. So I have the quadratic formula here below, and then the main point is that you're just finding those x-intercepts. I have 3 plus or minus radical 2. And if you graph y equals 2x, the blue and then the purple parabola, they intersect at those 2 points that we just found, 1, 2, and 7, 14.